Hello, hello. Hi, Kahila. How are you?
Hi.
How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I don't know about you.
Same.
Hold on one second. I'm going to grab my headphones.
Actually, I'm going to do the same.
Yeah. Good morning, sunshines. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody handling this morning?
Just finished a little self-care, did a nice hike with my husband. So just trying to take care of my mind and my body.
Hey, awesome.
I hear you.
Hi, guys.
Can you hear me?
Is that Maureen Orey?
can't hear
Yeah. I can. Can everybody hear each other? Cool.
Yeah.
Maureen, are you there? Hi, guys.
Hey, Marissa.
Hey, cool. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the call this morning. What I really wanted to do was just to provide like a format. I know that I myself was in kind of a panic mode for a couple of days, just trying to figure out like, oh my God, my career is over, right? And luckily, Maureen was actually there to witness the breakdown, which is so great. And one of the reasons that I brought, that I invited everyone to kind of collaborate is like, there's a ton of ways like what we're doing right now. Would we have all met if we hadn't had a situation where we needed to connect? Probably not, right? We probably would have, we probably wouldn't have. And also there's just a ton of tools that I've been utilizing that I kind of wanted to share with people. And then, Maureen has a background and has been doing, I think, Maureen, you have to turn your speaker up. Can everybody hear me or no? Just want to make sure. Everyone else can hear me, Maureen. I think you need to turn the speakers on. Maureen has been in the, obviously in the learning and development space for a while and has been designing remote learning she's been designing remote learning for years. And for the same thing as me, as I'm teaching at the University of San Diego, and it's not just about taking what you do on a stage or what you teach and doing the entire exact same thing online. It is about figuring out how do I create like a blended learning experience for those that are around me. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and like I said, I just wanted it to be a safe space where people could talk about like, hey, here's what we're seeing, here's what we're not seeing. How do I take a 90-minute presentation and then, what we're doing with one of my larger technology clients, some of you might know who they are, is we're taking that, essentially that 90-minute or full day program, and now we're kind of condensing it into a series that's weekly, because we understand that no one's going to sit in front of their computer for 6 hours, right? And I wanted to bring Maureen and Greg in just to kind of talk and kind of just have everybody kind of collaborate. Thanks, LaFonda. I wanted everyone to be able to have a collaborative space so that they don't have anxiety around kind of this pivot and this shift. I also wanted to recommend tools that are really great for us to collaborate. I'm going to be using a tool called Hey Summit, which is a really low cost tool. I want to say the license runs like $150 for the year. And what you can do is create not only an online conference experience, but there's promotional giveaways. You can add value-added content like worksheets to programmers. You can have multiple speakers. So I think that like tools like that will allow us to be able to deliver our messages. So I'd love to have everybody introduce themselves, because I definitely do not want to be the only person talking. And I will put in the links the software that I just mentioned, since people were asking. So if we want to start maybe with Kahila, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kahila. I am a trained psychotherapist. I have been working as a coach and a consultant for the last probably 3 years. I've done work with diversity inclusion, and my main focus has been working with women besides the leaders that I've been training in diversity inclusion, and that's kind of where I'm taking my own practice. But so for me, it's right now I've been thinking about doing a free once a week kind of get together for individuals to talk about mental health and just wellness altogether, since all this is going on. So I'm going to create a free kind of what Marissa was just talking about, like a platform for like an hour for people to just join and have conversations.
Awesome. What about
I don't
you?
know where I am.
Oh, did you say me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kendra Williams, I do digital marketing, e-commerce consulting, just looking at what the options are. I'm trying to see some opportunities for some clients that are, more focused on in-person meetings or trade shows to gather new business, and take this as an opportunity that there's a lot of people that are going to have more time on their hands to maybe view some things and check some things out. So that's some of what I'm looking at there. And then also just a way to get people together, because I think that's one of the hardships when all of a sudden society is kind of very quarantined. We're all in different spots. So how do we get people just interacting and having community? So that's not a business related, but I think that's a huge need. There's a lot of people stuck at home wanting engagement.
So I'm also going to introduce someone that just happens to be in the room. You want to introduce who you are and what you do to the group?
I'm Mark Anthony Bates.
What do you do, Mark Anthony Bates? What you do would be very interesting to this group of people.
I've been known for 18 years as a speaker coach to be able to help people convert higher sales from stage via sales and webinars around the world. I'm in multiple verticals globally. I speak as well. And so we just met, and we're going to collaborate on some things. I thought this was really interesting what she was doing over here. And I understand the challenge that goes along with when you're doing a virtual setup versus when you're in a live event and people are around. When you're dealing with the live event, of course, you have people that are feeding off each other's energy. You've got the music, you've got the psychology of the room, you're in control of things. And when people are sitting at home or if they're in their office, it's a different dynamic. So when you're dealing with that, you deal with it differently, but you can still engage the people. This woman is brilliant. She and I,
He's
we're
very fancy.
Connected.
He's very fancy.
And so I'm really excited about what she's doing here. And you guys have a great opportunity. I look at everything as blue ocean. When you look at things, okay, what's the opportunity to go into an area that isn't red oceans? And if you're not familiar with the blue ocean strategy, you should probably check it out. But these are the things right now I look at. I don't look at what being opportunistic. I look at it as going, okay, what are the needs of the audience? What's the needs of the market? Where's it going? And how can you stay ahead of that curve when everybody else is still freaking out and trying to figure out what to do? And by you having her here and all of you together, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to all really take. I'm very careful about the language I use, but to say take advantage of this and be able to do this now and be proactive rather than waiting to say later on and going, how are you reacting to what's happening? So nice to meet you all.
Thanks.
I'm going to grab my bagel.
Okay. Okay, Maureen, what about you? Introduce yourself. Fancy pants.
Hey there, I'm Maureen Orey. I'm the founder and CEO of the Workplace Learning and Performance Group, and I have worked from home for over 2 decades and been teaching online classes for well over 10 years. So it's an interesting space I'm actually fairly comfortable with, to be able to work and teach and learn and play all from a virtual office, whether it be a coffee shop or home today. And like all of us, it's home. So what else did you want to know? Because I was having trouble with my audio. So good timing. I just got it figured out. So.
No. I think we're good. I just wanted, like I said in the beginning of the call, I just wanted a space for everyone to kind of talk about their backgrounds and collaborations and ways that we can cross-promote. He also didn't mention that he works to place people on really big stages, etc. So it's an interesting time to be here, because how do you translate that? And let's have Greg, and then we'll have Teresa, and then Rachel, and then we'll have it. Greg, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Ward, and I'm one of Marissa's clients. And I've been doing a lot of in-person delivery for many, many years. And then convinced yesterday morning my biggest and best client to allow me to completely revamp 2 two-day in-person programs into virtual programs and deliver them next week. And I'm freaking out. So I need your help.
Awesome. And Teresa, do you want to explain? Say hi to everybody.
Hi, good morning. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm Teresa Valenzuela. I'm not really sure why I'm here, but I'm glad I got invited. Let's see, I have many things. One of them is I'm the president of Uptown Professional Toastmasters. So in regard to Toastmasters and public speaking is concerned, I'm very passionate about that. I do very well in that arena and would like to get to a point where I'm doing some consulting. I'm also a digital marketer for San Diego Futures Foundation. We're a tech nonprofit, and what we do is we have a contract with the County of San Diego. So every time that they refresh their computers, we get them. And then we go ahead and we clean them up, donate them to nonprofits, and then we sell them at a very affordable price to low-income families. We also offer digital literacy services. One specialty is that we offer them to the blind. So the blind is teaching the blind how to use computers. And then we also offer to adults, seniors, and youth free digital literacy services, because we're finding out that just because you know how to use this, that does not translate into knowing how to use your computer for just basics as far as a resume. And I have to tell you that I looked at digital literacy for beginners as, oh, turning the computer on, and I'm so advanced, right? I know how to do all of this stuff. Well, if you really start looking at digital literacy, there's no way to really, there's no standardization for that, right? And so where are you on the spectrum, and how do you grade yourself as far as what technology skills you know or don't know? So that's a little bit about what I do. Very passionate about public speaking and community organizations. And I used to build bridges for a living, but I'm in a wheelchair now. So I build human connections instead. Still building bridges. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And Rachel, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yes, hi, I'm Rachel. I primarily do consulting in the nonprofit space for development and operations, but I also recently started doing some PR and marketing for a public speaker. So the first part of what I do is easy to kind of transfer into the virtual space for those that I wasn't already doing it for. But the public speaking aspect, we're definitely trying to shift and figure out what we can offer to help people even during this short phase, but then going forward, what that's going to look like too.
And then LaPonda, did you want to introduce yourself as well?
Well, good morning. Forgive me, I'm still in hike mode. I live in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Colorado. I'm originally from Los Angeles. I'm a retired police captain. And after I retired, I started focusing on gender diversity, equity and inclusion. And I'm also a consultant, and I generally play in the government space, especially for organizational assessments and building their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. I also have a second side, which is my professional side, and that is I teach in the aviation security space. So I'm freaking out right now about all the wrong things the airports are doing, especially bringing our people back from Europe, putting them in this big petri dish. So I am very familiar with online learning and teaching because a lot of my education was online from UCLA, and then moving over into the classroom. But in this time, how do we now take advantage? Remember, you always learn in the worst times in history, but how do we take advantage of this now while not killing our personal speaking careers for the future, and then bridging those two, as Teresa said, so this can be a model that we can use going forward in the future. So that's why I'm here. And also because Greg, who was actually my first instructor in the DE&I space, and my first really great contact, invited me to this. And I know if he invites you to anything, you need to go. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Like I said, I don't really look at, I'm definitely not the expert when it comes to online learning. What I consider to be my strength is figuring out kind of, hi Bernie, welcome, kind of more of a common sense approach of like, how do I take like a 90-minute or a 45-minute program that I would deliver, and how do I create a conversation because again, like Mark was talking about, I feed on energy in the room. I don't know about you guys when you speak. Like I'm constantly reading attendees. And so when I can't see people's faces, last week was a great example. We did a webinar. We had 2 days to come up with something for Google. And like the hardest part of the whole thing was transitioning from host to host. It was like an awful relay race. So that might be something that we do this week where we practice handing off like hosting on because it was actually super cumbersome to do like, and we didn't have a producer. So Maureen was the first person to tell me that like a producer is something that can be really helpful, that controls kind of the flow of the room. And I was like, great, how do we do that? And that's actually why I'm on site up here, is because we're moving an entire conference to virtual. So we're trying to get everyone's internet and stuff speed. Bernie, welcome. You're a little bit, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody? Everyone's here just to collaborate. So if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, thanks, Marissa. So my name is Bernie. I'm CEO of Oncology and Kids. So we do camp programs for kids that are battling cancer and their siblings. I'm on here specifically, as sort of a new startup type of nonprofit. We're transitioning, especially within this realm, all of our stuff into digital online, of being able to do interviews with all of our volunteer leadership, all of our communication methods. We're sort of ahead of the curve with some of the technology stuff, but we just need better systems and processes to integrate them and implement them. I think we've got content out the wazoo. It's just finding a better, more streamlined way of being able to put the whole package together, and then leaning on everyone else's expertise and just like, oh yeah, that makes any way that we can work smarter, not harder, is big for us, because there's only 2 staff and a bunch of volunteers. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I guess I'm going to tap Maureen, since you seem, you have such a we were just talking about, she just wrote an article, I think in October, about working remote and how she's been doing it forever. And remote was never an option for someone like me until I started my own business. So this idea of training, I mean, do you have any suggestions or advice or just general things to consider that you could bring to the conversation, Maureen? Let's see. Unmute yourself.
There we go.
There we go.
Actually, yeah, I've been taking some notes, and I'm in the process of writing an article for Forbes on there are 2 things to consider. There's working remotely is one thing, and then there's teaching and delivering content remotely. And so there's kind of 2 conversations. And as I've listened to some of you, especially Greg and Bernie, looking at, and Marissa, as you said, even just simply managing the handoff of presenters in a virtual environment, you need to start with a good design. And even working from home, you need to start with a good design. But focusing on delivering content and transitioning content, Greg, for example, from a 2-day face-to-face class to, are you going to keep it a 2-day? How do you create the terminology we use in the L&D space, or learning and development space, is synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous is like right now, we're live, we're synchronous, we're all here at the same time, same place, regardless of what time zone we're in. And then there's asynchronous. How can you design content or develop materials that you could also make available asynchronously, so they can access at any time, any day, from any computer? And then there's the blending of it. How do you create kind of a program, a full-on program design to say, how do we have live programs? Because people aren't going to tolerate an 8-hour face-to-face class, right? How can we have a live program? How can we have the offline asynchronous content? How can we blend it together? So it comes back to, what do we start with as our design? And starting with something that we're doing perhaps face-to-face, or we're used to doing face-to-face, we have to step back and kind of relook at the whole infrastructure and the whole instructional design or design process for what is going to be the best way for delivering content. I see so many people doing that, and I'll represent this. We have 9 talking heads here. Great, that's fantastic, and we can have a dialogue and a discussion. Is this going to be the best way? Is there sometimes visual content we might see? Can we have an offline discussion? So there's a lot of different considerations, but at the end of the day, we have to step back and relook at our design for delivering the content most effectively. And that's just looking at learning and development, having a virtual office and being effective, you know, is a whole nother conversation. But the questions and comments that seemed to come up in the intros was more about how do I pivot my content so I can still deliver the most impactful, important, and engaging content as a facilitator, if you would.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I've been exploring a combination of, well, you introduced me to Poll Everywhere, which I particularly love when I'm doing presentations, because it just allows you to, beyond just the standard Zoom poll, really create some really visually stimulating stuff for a group. And I think that would be a really cool thing to integrate into presentations and content delivery, just because the ability to kind of, I mean, we know, right? Right now we're kind of focused on this call, but if this call was really going to be an hour long, at some point, someone's going to check their phone, someone's going to check out. So stuff like that I think can help. Our friends at Umu are doing some licenses as well, Maureen. So I don't know if any of you have heard of Umu before. And I just kind of wanted to share you know Umu, right, Maureen? You're the one that introduced me to them.
Yep, absolutely.
I thought I would, can everybody see my screen? So yeah, so what they do is they kind of have a couple different platforms that you can build content into. And it's kind of like mobile learning and classrooms and tracking learning. And they are fantastic at that. And that's UMU. It stands for You, Me, Us. And they've got some really cool stuff that they're doing around giving people access to, I think, 50 participants, like in a classroom setting, I think is like what the free model is giving right now. So they upped it, understanding that there's going to be a change, which I thought was really cool. What do you think are and I hate to say it this way, and I don't want to be negative, and maybe Greg, you can infer this as well. What do you guys think are has anybody ever had like a really horrific online learning experience? I know I have. I always joke like harassment training is probably the worst training anyone has to do, right? You're sitting there and you're just like, I'm trying to fast forward through this video so I can answer the test. That's not what we're aiming for, right? I'm sure people will buy that right now if you've got it because they don't have anything else, but maybe sharing some of the things that could be done better would give everyone a broader understanding. I don't know. And I'm like, someone else definitely talk. This is not my thing. This is like a group thing. I just wanted to bring people that are in the same boat.
The worst one I was on was one that it was really strange. They were showing a program and it was a teaching thing, but they literally had no way to ask questions, none whatsoever. And there was tons of questions that came up. There was no chat, there was no audio, there was nothing. And it was the most frustrating experience. It was probably an hour, maybe 40 minutes. Even at the end, there was no room for questions. So it was like, here's what we do. And then they were done. And I can't even tell you who it was because I was so aggravated with them and wrote them a really nasty note. And I'm like, I'm never going to buy your program or use what you're selling because it was terrible.
I think that one of the most important things, I think, and you hit on this, is interaction. They have to be relatively short. I think that you have to give them short snippets, 45 minutes or less, because you're going to have kids running in because everyone's at home, their children are at home. So that's something you have to think about in the short term, is how much time do they actually have? And because they are actually working from home, they may have other work. So I think really quickly, 45 minutes or less is probably what you're going to get out of them, maybe an hour. But it goes to Kendra's point, and that is for you to be able to interact. Make sure that you have those chat rooms. Make sure you have polling. I think some of the best training that I've ever had is on a website called the Justice Clearinghouse. It's something that I do for my law enforcement side. And in every single one of their trainings, they always have they have hour trainings, you're going to get at least 5 polls. And what that does is that keeps the person focused. You also can look at who's really paying attention to you. Because if you're only getting 3 or 4 people out of maybe you may have 200 on the call, and you're only getting 3 or 4 or 5 people, then you need to probably change the way your presentation is working. And so that also gives you a way of seeing who's paying attention to your content. But right now, it's probably going to be almost micro-learning and small snippets because their children are going to be at home, their spouses are going to be at home, and they're going to be taking time away from them as well.
What about, I'm sorry, Teresa, I saw you raised your hand. That's so cool. I've never seen someone do the raise hand in Zoom. That's fun. Okay.
Down there.
Hey!
Just as importantly is your presentation in regard to lighting and audio.
Yeah.
I don't care if if I'm watching a YouTube channel and the guy is knowledgeable, but moves the camera and the audio sucks, the audio is just as important, and the lighting is too. I mean, it really brings a difference on regard to your level of professionalism.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a kitchen right now. So.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm in okay. Okay, so I think we heard some really good points around interaction, engagement, getting people. I'll tell you guys that meeting that we did, with more than 70 people that said they wanted to be there in person, when they came online, we kept 69 people on the call, no drop off. That's pretty good. But that's because we had 15 minutes, like there was a different speaker every 15 minutes. And we turned it into a series over the next 4 weeks because I was like, there's no way. I don't have the traditional background in L&D, but I was like, I just know for myself. I did a call this morning with someone. This poor woman just kept apologizing over and over because her kids kept coming in the room. I told her, we're all in the same boat. You don't need to apologize. You've already told me you're home. I mean, she little ones. I'm lucky I have teenagers, right? This is a dream for them. This is like 4 weeks of vacation. But, the little ones, I think it's harder. Greg, did you have anything to add to the conversation?
Well, I have done a few webinars, and what I usually do for those is I develop a very visual slideshow, and again, make sure that my chat box is open. And if I have help, somebody in the background sort of managing things, that makes it a lot better for me anyway. There's a part of this, I think, where I just have to go by force of character. I just have to be alive and energetic and do my best to engage with people. And that's what I do when I do my platform speaking anyway. So I feel like I just have to learn the tools and tricks and techniques of taking stuff I deliver all the time. And that's the good news for me. What I'm doing next week, I delivered both these programs, at least one of them, over 100 times in person. So I'm really super familiar with the content, which I think, hopefully, fingers are all crossed that that's going to be okay.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Maureen.
I think that's a great point. The consideration is the difference in psychology of, as Marissa said, she will often feed off the energy of the crowd, is really utilizing tools like Poll Everywhere. If you're familiar with Kahoot, Kahoot is a great way to have quizzes, live quizzes, and engagement that can really get it. It actually gets the camera off of you and onto the content, and visually appealing slides are of course important, but also being able to change your methodology of delivering content in an online environment, probably every 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, is not just being a lecture, not just being slides, but also having discussion, dialogue, breakouts even, and then using different tools like Poll Everywhere or Umu or Kahoot. And I actually have, if you wanted to demo Kahoot, I could demo Kahoot for you in a really quick and easy way, just so you could see how, even in a webinar, because Kahoot was originally designed for face-to-face classrooms, but just to mix it up, I started using it in a live webinar format, and it can be fun and engaging.
I'd love to see it, Maureen. Or do you want to do it on the next call, or do you want to?
No, I can do it right now. All right, LaVonda, let's do this. All right, so if you want to share, give me access. Toss the ball, as we used to say in WebEx. I am the host now. Fantastic. Let me share my screen. All right. Can you see? It says ATD WCAG, and we'll do a quick quiz because I think this one only has about 9 questions. 9 questions. Can you see that all right? Yes? Okay. Or this one has 7 questions. But essentially what Kahoot is an online quiz. Here's what you'll need to do. I'll go ahead and just demo it now. No, I don't get kickbacks for this. It's just a tool I use. I wish I got kickback. I've probably told thousands of people about this tool. And so I'm going to, what this is going to be a quiz about designing online and accessible learning, because that's a whole nother conversation, Marissa. But we will create, I've already created this game or this quiz in the background. And so what you're seeing is the back side of it. And I'm going to just do player-to-player classic mode for this game. What you'll need to do is get another device, like your phone, and you will go to kahoot.it, or if you happen to have the Kahoot app, once you log into kahoot.it, you can go to enter the game pin, 9944434. Yep, there you go, Marissa's got it. You can do this, just open up a new tab on your computer if you'd like. And I can see that Marissa is logged in. Kendra is logged in, if you can see this live. LP, gotcha. So generally, it will take, you can see that it takes a couple of minutes to get this up and running. So you can get people geared up by having them download the app, or at least be familiar with the fact that you will need a second device. I see that Kahila, is that how I pronounce your name? So
Yep,
we have
it's
4
Kahila.
players. Thank you. And what's going to happen as we get the last couple of people on board, or if you're not going to play and you just want to observe, that's okay. Put that in the chat if you would, so you can let Marissa know if you're going to play or just observe. Either one is fine. All right, we have 5 players. And very good. Are you ready? I want to say, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. And if you want to just observe, give me a sideways thumb so I know what to expect. All right, very good. All right. So what we're going to do, I will start the game now. And you will have a question show up on my screen, actually, and your screen as well. And the first question is, let me get that out of the way. And this is in reference to accessibility. Accessibility means that different people with blank, fill in the blank, can access all aspects of the content. What does accessibility really mean when it comes to accessing content? Does it mean you need good eyesight? Let me minimize this here.
You have to be careful with touching the screen.
I'm blocking it, yeah.
I answered, and I don't know.
There we go. So you would have to choose the red, the blue, the yellow, the green, and 4 of you got it correct. 1 of you said none of the above, but accessibility means that different people with disabilities can access all aspects of the content. So now you'd see that Marissa is in first place. She might be biased because we share an office together when we're not working from home. Kendra's in second place. Kahila is in third place. Greg, you're bringing up the rear there, and with 974. So the next question is this: web accessibility encompasses all disabilities that affect access to the content, including, is it visual impairment, auditory impairments, physical impairments, or all of the above? Choose your answer on your app. And then there are 4 answers, and Time's up. Look at you all got it correct. Woohoo! All of the above is the correct answer, and then you'll be able to see the leaderboard. Oh, Marissa, you got bumped out of first place, girl. Kendra is in the lead now. Greg, you're on the score. LP, you're either not playing or not. Speed matters, or you could just be observing now. And we could go on, or if you'd like, let's see, one more question. We'll do one more question. There are 9 questions, but we don't necessarily have to do the entire quiz. How many people have disabilities that affect their use of the web? And this is more and more important as everyone is using the web and working from home. Is it hundreds, millions, thousands, or billions? What do you think? In the US. There we go. Millions, or across the world, right? Millions or US, it depends what data set we're looking at. But Marissa, let's see. Marissa's on fire, 3 in a row. Greg, you have come up in the lead. You are now 3rd place. Kendra is in 1st place. And so anyway, that's a quick, I'll pause my sharing for a moment and see what your thoughts are about this tool. This is another great tool. It used to be free. It's not free anymore. Unfortunately, I think they might have a free version. I haven't checked out to see what they're doing with the whole coronavirus stuff going on. But what are your thoughts or comments?
Maureen, this is awesome. I really love it. Is there an upper limit on the number of people that can be participating in this? I'm sure it depends on what it is.
I'm sure it does. I have done this with groups of, gosh, I want to say 50 to 75 without any trouble whatsoever. And so that's it's pretty accessible when it comes to the tool.
Now, were you controlling how fast the questions were popping up, or can you slow that down? I'm a little slower, so it took me a second to figure it out. And then the answers, the question popped off of the screen and then you reread it, but for us, the question popped off the screen rather quickly. Is there a way to slow it down a little bit?
Yes, all of that's in the design of your quiz. You can have it not timed at all. You can slow it down. The reason I read it out loud is just for that accessibility, because if someone were had visual access issues, then I would read it so they could hear it and not have to be reading it from the screen. So that it's all in how you design the quiz itself. But as you can see, it can be fun, interactive. It gives you that leaderboard. You can have some fun with it. And there's a number of different ways to utilize that tool, but I figured I'd at least demo that so you could kind of experience that.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Maureen.
Sure.
Dumb question, probably. I'm assuming you would use this tool after you delivered some content to check the learning, correct?
It can be. It can be done as a pre-quiz. I've done it pre and post. You can do it as a way to kind of introduce content. You can have pictures and so forth. So it could actually be done in teams. I haven't done it virtually using the team mode. I always just do it with the individual like we just did. But it can be, often serves as a review or a quiz, but you could do it as a pre-test and a post-test. Do it both times.
Cool. The second question was around I'm able to build polling everywhere into the PowerPoint. Can we do the same thing with Kahoots?
Not to my knowledge. I usually go outside because of that interactivity and the game and the fact that everyone needs their own device. I usually go out of PowerPoint in order to leverage Kahoot.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks so much, Maureen. I don't know about you guys, but that was awesome. I think just stuff like that is such a different way to look at learning and kind of do pre-quizzes and get people engaged. And I think I'm taking away a lot just hearing everyone kind of talk about different ways. And I think accessibility is something that I don't think any of us really think about. I don't, when I do a webinar, I realize that I'm not thinking about people that have maybe vision disability or that's just something that we probably need to do at the beginning of a design as opposed to trying to reverse engineer it out, right? So that sounds
exactly.
That
You'll
sounds
save
like something
yourself
that
a lot of time.
I'm like, what do we do? Well, you know, I didn't want to keep anybody too long, and I just wanted, again, and I have a couple of these I think you guys can see set up all week. So I kind of just set these up so that we could all kind of, you know, collaborate over the course of the week. Obviously, this one was just a general one. I have one where I actually saved the pitch that I made to my technology client that I'm going to share with you guys if you guys want to use it. Like, hey, you know, and part of that was actually setting up a poll to have them pull their audience to see, hey, is everyone open to online learning? And again, at a live event where we had 79 people, like 70 plus said, yeah, we still want to learn. We blocked out this time on our calendars and our schedules. So what I will do is I have the like Micropreneurs Unite group on Facebook. It's just kind of a general catch-all. If you guys want to all connect in there, it just asks you not to spam. Like, I'm just really not about everybody selling in the group. I just think if you want to, like, if you like what Maureen's talking about and you can see she's a total ninja, reach out to her and have that conversation. I'm just trying to keep it sales agnostic, but I do want to provide sales tools. So like, here's the pitch email that I used to pivot this virtual. And Bernie, I think you could see how this could be really impactful for creating community during this time, especially, I don't know if Bernie brought it up, but what type of camps do you run, Bernie?
Yeah, they're camps for kids that are battling cancer and their siblings. So we're actually, a lot of this relates to a lot of the trainings that we're already doing with our volunteer leadership. And we're pulling in our junior council, which is made up of kids between the ages of about 13 to 17, and putting them in positions where we want them to drive the content like this and actually present it then out to the larger community. Because if it's going to be for the kids and by the kids, then honestly, they have a lot better comfort level when it comes to a lot of these things, and it's kind of fun to see if we can give them the tools and the foundational elements of seeing this when it's put into work and implemented. Then it's great to see them really sort of take it to that next level, because their ideas it's on a different level.
Awesome. Well, that being said, unless someone has like a burning desire, I want to let everyone go on with their day. I appreciate everyone joining this morning in the spirit of community and collaboration. I have a list of a bunch of other of these that I'm doing, just different topics. My assumption is some of you will be at some of the other ones, some of you won't. If you join the Micropreneurs community, it's just all free stuff. So we don't do any pitching in that community. It's just like come in, connect, share resources with one another. I know if you go in that group and you say, hey, can someone reshare my post? I'm super happy to do it. I can program it into my distribution. If you guys stuff that you're creating and you want people to share, I do have like a self-promotion day that people can use. So I just appreciate everyone's time, and Maureen and Greg and Bernie, everybody. I appreciate you guys being a part of this. I think this is really cool. Like, not knowing if any, I thought I might be here alone. I knew for sure Greg would be here and Maureen. I'm like, I just don't know who else is gonna come. I want to thank everyone so much for being a part of this. And if you guys are okay, can I have everyone give a smile? Because of course this is content, so we can all.
Thank you so much, Marissa.
Smile. All right, thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate it. Everyone have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye, Marissa.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.